Hi, everyone. It's me, Rudy, from the Magicians Forum, and I'm here with two very, very special guests, two very talented men who are going to be giving lectures at this coming up Magicians Forum Live on August 7th and 8th, which, if you haven't got your tickets, I would ask that you do that. You can get them at basicsofmagic.com. Please keep in mind, if you can't attend the event, which is 2 days of magic lectures as well as breakout sessions, don't worry about it, because you can still get your tickets and you're going to get recordings of all of the sessions. So I hope you'll take me up on this really incredible offer for $10. Great lectures. Jason Dean will also be there, as well as Steve Reynolds. So I'm really looking forward to it. Very quickly, George, to be quite honest, I'm new to your magic. I had my friend Steve Freeberg. I believe you know Steve, because
Yes, I know Steve very well. Yeah,
he does some work on a trick of yours that I believe I first saw in Osmosis. I believe, or it's called Osmosis. Maybe you can correct me there, but it's an effect of yours.
No, that's right, Osmosis. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's some really good work on what is already really a great trick. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because again, some of us don't.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've always had a sort of an inquiring mind. That I became interested in magic probably in the early 70s. And I mean, the first book that I bought, actually, I can remember it quite vividly. And it was 1976. It was the year that Carl Fulvis brought out self-working card tricks.
Mm.
So that was my first book. I started going into the magic shop, Roy Walton's magic shop, round about that time. I always remember that because I bought the book in the shop. So 1976 was when the book came out. In fact, I think it was 1977 that I bought the book in Roy's shop. So that was my sort of first introduction to Roy. And I began to meet other magicians that come into the shop at that time, namely Gordon Bruce and Peter Duffy. And there's also another young man, a very talented magician called Stephen Hamilton. Stephen and I were pretty close, and we used to share quite a lot of things back then, but there was really, when it started, there was only four. There was Gordon, Peter, a guy called Dave Robertson, and Stephen Hamilton. That was the four originals. I came along later, probably the late 70s, early 80s. But it was Roy was obviously the catalyst to everything. And it was great having Roy there, because early on when you read things, very difficult to understand sleight of hand when you're first learning. You could say to Roy, what is the diagonal palm shift? And he would do it, and you could see exactly what it looked like. Therefore, you had a name. So we were very lucky in that respect. The second book that I bought was a mistake. Not buying the book, but the timing of it was a mistake. I bought Expert Card Technique, would you believe? And that is a quantum leap. Wow. From self-working card tricks. Right. So it took me 20 years before I realized just how good that book was. And I never really understood anything in the book until that length of time had passed. I bought Royal Road probably at 1981 or something. So Expert Card Technique, although it was a very, very good book, I bought it far too early. Gosh. Wow. So I was lucky enough to know these guys quite early on. At 16 years of age, 1977. Wow. I got to know these guys pretty quickly. So Gordon and Peter and Dave Robertson started it all in Glasgow. That was it. And Stephen, he came along later. Then, of course, Jerry Sadowitz was there as well. And there were others, Dave Campbell. And then as the years passed, others came and went. So there was lots of guys sharing ideas back then. Coffee shops and pubs were full of magicians coming and going in Glasgow.
Gosh, that sounds incredible. That's those incredible influences on your magic at such a young age. Lucky you. Well, it shows in your work. I watched your second deal, just that video, I think that Big Blind Media put out, and you're just you can't see anything. It just looks absolutely phenomenal. So
Oh, that's very
quite
kind of you to say that, you know.
very talented. Now, John, everybody knows you. Most folks are familiar with your work, but maybe right now they don't even recognize you. You look quite different.
Yeah, I know.
Like, who is this guy? It really is John Bannon. He just, maybe you can share a little bit about that, because we were talking offline, but just a little bit of what's behind this.
Oh, well, you know, it may be kind of silly, but I retired in April, and so sort of symbolically, I stopped wearing my contacts and shaved off the beard. So that was sort of a symbolic gesture more than anything else. And then I have not always had a beard. Okay.
Oh, really?
Early on, I did not. On those videos, I did not.
That's right.
And we're talking about the L&L videos.
Yeah.
Or the A1 multimedia.
That's the A1, yeah. The A1.
And I spent 8 years in the Air Force, where you can't have a beard, right? So anyway, and then this, of course, is my quarantine do.
You look really sharp. It's a good look for you. And I bet when you're in the courtroom, you look really smart with your suit on and this gray hair. You look like a boss.
Yeah, as long as I don't look smarter than I actually am.
Now, I have a question for you,
Sure.
John. So I've been doing a little project for Real Magic magazine, and I've been learning all these tricks. But so I'm accumulating a lot of magic here in my brain. But then when it comes down to the moment of performing, I kind of go back to those same 5 or 6 tricks that I've been doing for years. Now you have come up with so much stuff. How much more do you have magic in your mind, both that you've created or learned? When it comes down to you're at a party or something, and somebody says, John, can you please smoke us with the trick? Are you more prone to do something old school that you created back in the day, or what would you perform when asked something?
Yeah, it depends. If it's people who haven't seen me do tricks before, then there's this couple of tricks that I will always do. Those are, I have an opening trick called line of sight. Then I would, and I use that in order to gather the aces. Then I do a spectator cuts the aces, and then I do my handling of twisting the aces, and then I do tail aces. It's this thing, and that's long enough for most people. But if and sometimes I'll just leave the line of sight out too if I have opportunity to move the aces to the top. But those are all very old, and even my handlings, the things that I do differently, that's very old. But that's kind of my go-to set, and then I'll do whatever I'm working on at the moment.
So your version of twisting the aces, is that published somewhere?
Yeah, it's in my lecture notes, and the handling is virtually identical to twisting the aces, which why I hesitated to put it in print for a long time. But I have some presentational ideas that I think really work, and I have an ending to it where all the cards turn face up, and then all the cards turn face down. But it's in a playful way with the audience, and I think first of all, I think twisting the aces is the best card trick ever. You know, once you do all the trade-offs involved and boil it all down, that's the winner in my book.
Well, just really quickly, just on that note, it was the first card trick that really convinced me, or actually set me on this path to learning card magic. I saw it performed by some guy at a magic shop. Just fooled the heck out of me. I had no way of comprehending how they were turning over. And I said, where did I learn that? And he pointed me back then to a videotape of Michael Amar's Easy to Master Card Miracles. And I mean, and that set me on the path. And I've loved card magic ever since. So I believe you're totally right.
You know, I agree with you. That was probably the first trick that I ever saw that convinced me to keep going on this thing. So
for my sake and for the sake of others, are those lecture notes still available?
Yeah, they are. I actually, I will be doing some stuff out of those during the lecture.
Awesome.
And but not the Twisting the Aces.
Okay.
Most people don't want to see another version of Twisting.
Well, I do, so I'll be
So do I.
my notes. Yeah, Joe and Paul, Katie. George, so you're underground. I know that you have some
Well,
big blind
people say that, but I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, because I'm curious about that. What is I guess what does that mean when somebody says somebody's underground? Does that mean they're just they're relatively unknown, or they're intentionally trying to maintain a low profile and keep their secrets hidden? I mean, what is this underground titling? So do you believe?
Well, it's not something that it's something that other people have said. You know, it's certainly not coming from me. I mean, I don't really have any explanation of, you know, I'm not underground, you know, I'm here. You know, I mean, I've been publishing stuff since 1995, which is not that long. You know, um, so
Mhm.
I don't get where it comes from, to be honest. I mean, I don't visit a lot of conventions. I don't go to a lot of conventions. That's one thing that I'm not particularly. I don't know the reason why. I used to go a lot when conventions were smaller. I like the small, intimate affairs. You know, I went to the Buffalo convention. I was, you know, invited over there, and that was great. It was very small. We used to have a convention here in Edinburgh many years ago, which was very small. And I don't know if John remembers, but many years ago when I'm talking over 30 years ago, when Blackpool was fairly small. I mean, it's now the biggest, you know, convention.
Oh, now it's the biggest one in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, one time when you watched the close-up, you were there and you seen the close-up.
Mm.
There was no need for big screens and things.
Mm.
And it was quite intimate. Once it started getting grand and big, and you know, you're watching close-up on big screens that's a good bit away. And for me, there was just too many people there. You know, the dealers are great, you know, that because you've got so much there, but it's just so big, you know. I like the small, you know, intimate type of affairs, really. I don't go to a lot of them. Maybe that's where it stems from. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Glasgow is quite a kind of sort of, it's a strange, I noticed that they're a bit reluctant to share outside the circle sometimes. You know, the four individuals that I'd mentioned earlier on, Gordon, Peter, Dave Robertson and Steve Hamilton, well, Bobby Bernard named them the Scottish Mafia in the early 70s. You know, they just sort of kept themselves to themselves, you know, and I don't know, it's a strange thing, this underground thing. I can't explain it, to be honest.
So would somebody more like Roy Walton, for example, somebody was talking to some magician, I forget which trick it was, but he spoke of how Roy Walton had some work on that, but it's unpublished and it's really quiet on the down low, and really didn't seem to be the kind of guy who really wanted to be out there. Would you say he would be more of considered an underground magician, or John, is this just a weird thing that magicians come up with and doesn't really exist?
What being underground?
Underground, what does that mean?
You know, it's to my great regret, I never met Roy Walton. Okay. One time I was doing a lecture in Edinburgh, and when I was giving the lecture, Roy was on vacation in New York City. So I missed
that's a shame.
Actually meet him. Like I said, to my regret. But I don't know. Underground to me means the guy's really good, but we don't know that much about him, right? Mm-hmm. And George, I think your association with Big Blind Media will certainly help get you out of
I would say that's
right.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Yeah. I mean, Owen Packard's an absolute gentleman, as you know. I mean, he's a lovely man. And yeah, he's certainly helped my career in the recognition department anyway. you know, when I go to conventions, I meet people and I don't know them, but they kind of know me, and it's probably through that, you know, it's probably through the big blind media.
Owen knows how to make you look good too.
Channel, yeah, he's a whiz kid. He's a whiz with the camera. He's fantastic, you know, such a lovely man, you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe speaking to the underground nature of magic, you know, we're always looking for these deep hidden secrets. We collect all these books looking for that holy grail. You know, I'll ask it to both of you. John, are there certain secrets, certain effects that you've created or secrets that you've learned that you just won't ever share with anybody, that you smoke people with, that you fool other magicians with it, but as it pertains to ever sharing that or publishing it, you're just like, I'll just take it to the grave?
No. I don't. I'm not a firm believer in keeping up secrets forever. And there have been some people whose work is lost to history because they either were that type or someone got a hold of their material that was that type. Okay. Now, what I will do is I will not show some things around until I have the opportunity to stake my claim, either in a video or a book or something, or in my Genie column, and then, you know, sky's the limit. Then, because the problem is, I'm not so much worried about people stealing the stuff as I am them making variations, and the variations get out before the trick does.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's always annoying.
And that really clouds the issue of, well, whose trick is it anyway? And so, long story short, I don't believe in keeping secrets forever. No.
Now, and George, how about you? Again, you've been friends with some of these really great guys, and again, from what I heard, Roy Walton, there's certain things he said, I'm not going to publish. I don't want anybody to know. I'll show you, maybe teach you, but you keep it a secret. And
well,
what about you?
I always found Roy very generous. I mean, I don't really know of anything that I mean, certainly, just like John says, if Roy has worked on something, or if I have worked on something that's fairly new and I haven't shown it around much, to be honest, well, I kind of want to get use out of it first, you know, and start showing it, you know, to particularly lay people and getting the use of it, and then, you know, I will eventually share it. I don't like keeping things forever either. I mean, there's certain things that I do that are not new, because there's nothing new really, but it's, you know, something that I've come up with recently that I want to do and use without, you know, sharing it too quickly. I just want to, you know, get the use out of it first. But certainly, no, I mean, if someone comes up to me and says, you know, is there anything new you'd like to, you know, submit to a magazine or something like that, you know, that's not a problem. You know, I don't mind doing that. That's, you know, it's no problem. It's, you know, it's difficult to be original. But just going back to Roy slightly, you know, Roy was original in a lot of things. You know, that was one of the beauty of. He had a fantastic understanding of all aspects of, particularly card magic. You know, it wasn't just the Galbraith principle, for example, was understood to the nth degree. You know, the stay stack was understood to the nth degree. All these principles and things like that were understood really, really well. A bit like Alex, cut from the same cloth as Alex Elmsley.
Yeah.
You know, I met Alex twice, you know, and I was in awe of the man each time, you know. He was a, you know, a true genius.
Wow.
He was just someone who was, he would share as well. You know, he would share things without any problems. I remember him showing me some things that wasn't published, you know, and that's a strange thing, because I know that one or two things that Alex showed me weren't published, and I've kept them simply because Alex never put them in print. So I wouldn't, you know, I would just keep them to myself, really. You know, they're not mine.
Wow.
I'll tell you a story. I met Alex Elmsley in Spain, okay, and it was just after the time he re-entered the magic scene. Okay, he was out for a while, and he had come out with his
Yeah.
computer trick DVD, and I was at the Scorial, and he was there, and since we were the only two people who spoke English, they always put us next to each other, which was good.
Great.
I got to spend most of the weekend with Alex. He's very, very, very interesting guy,
Yes,
and a perfect gentleman. I mean, he really is amazing.
yes. And liked his whiskey.
Liked his whiskey, huh?
He liked his whiskey. Yes, loved a little whiskey.
Wow. Well, this has really been great. Maybe we can just close out this time by you sharing a little bit about what you will be sharing with us at the Magicians Forum Live. John, what do you got for us? What will you be showing us?
Well, okay. It's always been surprising to me that nobody reads Genie Magazine. Or
Sure.
I have a column in Genie Magazine. It's been running for 5 years, and an awful lot of people I run into, I'll make a reference to it, and they won't know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they say the way to keep things secret is to put them in print.
Right.
But you know, I have tried to make the tricks that I put in my column, you know, top notch. And so what I plan on doing, since it's been 4 years now, is doing a couple tricks,
Awesome.
1 or 2 from each year.
Wow.
Give you a survey, and there are tricks that either I particularly like, or I think they've been overlooked. And so that will be the cornerstone. But I have some other things up my sleeve, like some things out of Lucky, and maybe a packet trick, maybe.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I can't wait. That sounds great. Now, how about you, George? What about you?
I'll probably take a little bit of time and giving a little insight into my background. As you say, I'm not as well known as John, so not too much time, but I'll probably start off with that sort of thing. And then the first 3 things that I'll do, I'm going to sort of talk about how you can merge tricks. It's quite important when you do tricks one after the other that you don't actually convolute the effects as you go along. So I just want to talk a little bit how you can, perform routines and have them blend into one another with a bit of clarity of effect. That'll probably be the first 3 effects. A sort of an ambitious thing, moving into an elevator thing, and then a thing that I published called Double Swap Sandwich, which was based on an Elmsley thing. And then, one of my favorite tricks is the assembly. So I've got a few of them, 1 or 2 of them, one in particular, which I haven't shown around much at all. So, and then give them the opportunity to ask any questions. If there's any slights and things like that, I'm fully open to going into the detail of anything that anyone wants to discuss, in relation to slights, anything at all. It doesn't matter. If I can do it, I'll explain it, and any nuances that I know I can pass on, that's not a problem.
Very excited about it. You were talking about those days when conventions were smaller and stuff like that. And, what I've been trying to do with the Magicians Forum Live and a lot of our lectures online is give people the opportunity to actually interact with magicians like you, ask questions, see things really close up the way that we used to. So it's trying to emulate those old days. Also, we have at the Magicians Forum, we have these what are called the Saturday sessions, where we do this. Magicians from all over the world, we come together and we share stuff. And it's, with magic shops now closing down, the brick and mortars are sort of a thing of the past. We miss that. I never got to really experience that like you all. And I feel like these sort of create that type of atmosphere for learning and interaction. So the people who tune in to the Magicians Forum Live this weekend, when they have a question, it's not me saying, hey, Scott is asking blah, blah, blah. I say, Scott, if you have your video up, I highlight him and he gets to talk to legends like yourselves. I think that's a
right
really good point.
So do you control that then, Rudy? Because that was one thing I noticed when I'd used Zoom before.
Mhm.
When there's a few people and people begin to talk, it's quite easy for them to talk over one another. So
Yeah.
do you control that side of it, I take it?
Yeah, I've eliminated
Right.
that. What I do is I'm in control of, I don't just let it be sort of this gallery view where it bounces around based on whatever voice or
Right.
dog bark or fart or whatever that pulls the camera to them. It's me directing using the spotlight to ensure that whoever's talking, they're talking. So we won't have those kind of interruptions that you'll sometimes
Gotcha.
see in Zoom video conferences. So hopefully that will ensure people who are even tuning in, watching this right now, that this will be quality. You're not going, there won't be the interruptions and the constant shifting of camera view. It'll be very focused on the presenters and giving them the respect that they're due and the attention that they're due. It's only $10, which I think for
Fantastic.
2 days of these incredibly talented magicians, and you get the recordings, and then there's breakout sessions where we get to just share our magic with one another. I think you're providing great value to the magicians who are going to take us up on this opportunity. So thank you. I appreciate
You're welcome.
you both very much.
Nice
All right.
meeting you.
My pleasure, really.
Nice to meet
You know,
you. Thank
a
you.
lot of people have a lot of time on their hands these days because they're at home, and I'm one of them. So I'm happy to do this because
Yeah, me too.
it's going to be a new experience for me too.
Great. Well, thank you. So that's it. So again, I'm Rudy. The Magicians Forum Live is this weekend. It's Friday and Saturday, August 7th, August 8th. Tickets are $10, and you can get them over at basicsofmagic.com. I really do hope to see you there, and please invite all your magician buddies. All right, gentlemen, I will see you this weekend. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks, Rudy. Bye. Bye,
All right.
John.
Bye.
Okay.